being out of breath after about 2 minutes. I think we were scheduled in to go and speak to a few other clubs. I don't think it got past St Andrews. I went in and saw Trevor, saw Karen Brady, ruptured everything. So I did my lateral ligaments, I done my medial, I done my cruciate, my posterior cruciate. I got on really well with the fans, got on with the players, scored my share of goals. And I think at times I was literally limping around the pitch. I couldn't move. But he wanted a target man.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel of Front Row Seats. Today we're joined by special guest, Dele Adebola. Hey mate, how are you?
Yeah, no, good, thanks. Thanks, Dylan. Owen.
No worries. Owen, how are you, man?
Yeah, doing well as always. Nice
Good.
and chilled.
So how you been coping with the lockdown, mate? Anyway, how's that been doing for you?
No, good. Like, I recently joined become a director of a bike company. So, like, I've taken one of the bikes and I've been using that to sort of have you heard of Zwift and Strava?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, so just working on my fitness and just seeing how I can sort of correlate sort of my fitness from the bike into sort of when I'm playing over 35 football.
Fair enough.
Brilliant.
So obviously we'll start at the beginning of your football career. You grew up in Liverpool, didn't you? Am I right in saying you was a Liverpool fan?
Yeah, massively.
What was your memories growing up as a football fan? Obviously Liverpool's such a big footballing city. What was your earliest memories of football?
Just watching the likes of John Barnes, Peter Beardsley, just destroy the league at that time. It was a fantastic time to be a fan. I mean, it's a fantastic time at any time to be a Liverpool fan. But back then, absolutely loved it. And with John Barnes being a massive role model as well, it just made it even more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, of course, mate, of course. When at 17, you made your professional debut for Crewe Alexandra. What can you remember about your first game being a professional?
Yeah, you know what? I had quite a few games, and my earliest recollection was a pre-season friend, not in the league, but sort of starting the game and playing sort of an attacking midfield role, just picking up and realising just how quicker the game was, just how much more intensity there was to it. Being out of breath after about 2 minutes of sprinting round, and it felt like I'm not ready for this. And then just into it and just getting to half time and thinking, what is going on here?
Fair enough.
Brilliant.
You spent quite a long time at Crewe Alexandra, and the 96-97 season, you were crucial in your team's promotion. What can you remember from that season? Obviously, I believe you scored, was it 16 goals in that promotion? Or something like that?
Yeah. I really sort of, I think I'd had a couple of seasons sort of getting used to the league.
Yeah.
17, 18 or something. And I think just hovering around just below double figures like in those previous seasons. And then that season, something just clicked. Now started scoring goals, 1s, 2s and stuff, and mounting up. And then I think I had 2 injuries, which meant that I was out of the side for quite long periods of time. One near the beginning of the season, I came back, picked up scoring again, and then the second one near the back end, and then again when I came back, it was at the back end of the push and stuff. But I remember it was against the same team. I got injured home and away, and it was the same injury. No, absolutely crazy, and I think it was the same player as well.
What are the chances?
I know.
But yeah, fantastic season for me, and just made me realise that I could sort of hold me on in the league. As a young player, you've got to build a reputation, and even though you're sort of in the first team at a young age, and people are talking about how good a player you are and how young you are and stuff. At Crewe, we had a million other players in that market, like young, hungry, wanted to make a name for themselves, and ultimately quite a few went on to bigger clubs.
Fair enough. And obviously spent another year in the next division up. You had another fantastic year again. You proved yourself again that you could do it at another level. But then you moved to Birmingham City after the season. What was the reason behind that move?
Yeah, I think that season when we got promoted, I only played until about February at Crewe, like January or February, and I think I was on double figures, and then I moved at that time to Birmingham, so it wasn't the next season; it was during that season, and then
fair enough.
I scored another 5 or 6, might be 7 goals for Blues at the back end of that season to try and get them promoted and stuff, but we just missed out on a playoff spot. But in terms of why I moved, it's a bit of a weird one. I was out of contract at the end of that season, and obviously it goes to tribunal, and there was a couple of agents involved who were sort of saying there was clubs, Charlton, West Ham, and Wimbledon were interested in signing me and stuff, and I don't know. I was ready to
move on.
Just wanted to test myself at a higher level. So as soon as a club came in and made a concrete offer, my agent rang me up, said, "Get yourself down to Birmingham." And I think we were scheduled in to go and speak to a few other clubs. I don't think it got past St Andrews. I went in and saw Trevor, saw Karen Brady, and ended up signing on that day without going to speak to anyone else.
Yeah, brilliant.
And obviously you spent 3 years at Birmingham, didn't you? And you had a quite successful cup run getting to the final of the League Cup. What can you remember about that the cup run? Like, what can you remember that cup run about?
Yeah, I think that previous season to that, like I was off to sort of the Spanish Premier League. There was a team came in for me and gone over there to sign for Las Palmas at the time. They just got promoted. And I failed a medical while I was over there, so I've come back, head between my tails and like down, and then just had another go at it. And you know what? It turned out to be another great season, to be honest. We got into the Women's Cup final, we got into the playoff final. But you know, it was a time when the team gelled, and I can't believe that team at that time didn't get promoted. In the 3 years I was there, I think we were in the playoffs all 3 years and just missed out on promotion in all those times. I think saying that I was injured for most of the playoffs at the back end of the season. Another recurring theme seems to get injured like right at the end. Probably too many games, and the size of me just couldn't cope with it.
Yeah, and you were going to ask about that, weren't you? That injury.
Yeah, so obviously, like injuries have been a really common occurrence for you. So, firstly, you know, how did you deal with like the vast amount of injuries that you'd come by?
Probably, like I try and play through them, and that would just make things worse. You know, I was going to say desperate, but I am going to say desperate. Like I think throughout my career, the theme of it is just how much I just wanted to play. I always wanted. Of
course.
If I wasn't in the squad, I'd be banging on the manager's door to go out on loan, and that's why I've got so many. I think I only played for about 5 or 6 clubs, but in terms of clubs that I've been at, maybe there's about 14 or 15, because if I wasn't sort of involved, I'd be off
wanted to play.
on loan. And then, exactly. So
of
when
course.
I'm playing, to get out on the pitch, sometimes I think most players will tell you about how they play injured, but I think with me, I'd just take it to another level. Like even near it, I'd get myself out there and stuff.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, as well, you had a very serious injury where you am I right in saying you slid into a post?
Yeah.
Yeah. So slid into the post, and am I right in saying you ruptured a few ligaments through the knee, which is a pretty serious injury. So how was that in terms of sort of recovery and rehab at that point in time?
Yeah, again, me trying to play for an injury. I've been out injured with my hamstring injury, and then I kept getting rushed round, and then it was breaking down again. And that game, I felt okay, so I came off the bench. Last 15 minutes, and then the result was that the injury had gone into that. I had a bit of a push in the back from the defender and just missed time. Purely an accident, but like gone into the post and ruptured everything. So I did my lateral ligaments. I done my medial. I done my cruciate, my posterior cruciate, my knee capsule. So it was a full reconstruction that we did.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, some people would say that would end your career for some cases. So what was that like in terms of coming through rehab? And it must have took some real resilience to fight back from that.
Yeah, I never at any point in my head thought that I wasn't going to come back from it. So there's probably a lot more damage than what I realised, and even now I'm probably suffering from actually coming back and playing. Like I was determined to come back and play, and it took me a year before I was back out on the pitch, and even then I was not the same player. You talk about losing the yard of pace, but I think because of the size of me, you've got so much extra load sort of going through and twisting and turning. It was especially hard. So that explosive player that I was, like, I had to readapt to become more of a target man, a focal figure.
Yeah, of course.
So I adapted it and became that really to survive in the game.
Yeah, brilliant.
Do you think that obviously that injury then affected the rest of your career then? I mean, like you said, you had changed the way you played. Do you think that affected the way you fought as well in the game as well?
Yeah, it did. Like, I came back to Blues. I came back that pre-season and trained with them and stuff, and we just got promoted to the Premier League. So, like, as harsh as it was, the club had to make a decision, and they just decided it would be a year before I'd be anywhere near, if at all, back to what I was like before. So,
of course.
They weren't too keen to. I mean, I was offered a 1-year extension because of the injury, but they weren't too keen to honour it. So, but I ended up going to Crystal Palace with Trevor Francis. So he was the manager of the chat, went to Crystal Palace, went down there with him and stuff. And, I remember it was another tough year because I was literally hobbling around, but I must have played 40, 50 games, even coming back from injury like that. And in terms of, like, they were the games I needed. I needed to play lots and lots and lots, and it just sort of settled me to go on and come back playing. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that Trevor Francis obviously signed for him twice. What was your relationship with Trevor Francis? Obviously, us being Forest fans, a Forest legend. So, what was your relationship with him?
It was really good. It was really good. The same as everyone. I think if you've met Trevor, you know he's a kind, he's a generous, he's like a really great guy. As top as well as being a fantastic footballer, he used to join in the five-a-sides all the time. Yeah. He was amazing. You could still see, like, why he was a top player. He still had that, obviously not the legs and the lungs, but like in terms of technical ability, amazing. But the only regret I had with Trevor was that, like, and I think with most players, like, I had an agent at the time who was at loggerheads with Trevor, and that caused a little bit of friction between them two. And obviously, as the player, you get dragged in, and a lot of things get sort of put on you a little bit. But I think Trevor, like, obviously knew what type of person I was, and otherwise he wouldn't have signed me again and stuff. So that resolved itself, really.
Yeah, fair enough. And obviously, like you said, after spending a year at Palace and spending, I think I was right to say it was like 50 games, I think Wikipedia said, you moved to Coventry.
Yeah.
And you spent, what was it, 5 seasons at Coventry, but you spent 2 loan spells at Burnley and Bradford. I believe your loan was in your first year at Coventry, wasn't it? All right in saying?
Yeah. Well, again, after playing so many games at Crystal Palace. I probably shouldn't have played. I'd needed to, 100% need to play the games, but I probably should have taken more care of myself because I've gone to Coventry, and I had a double hernia. Now, I'm not sure it wasn't picked up, but I played from September right through till January with the double hernia, and then it's only when I went out on loan I was complaining that I couldn't sprint properly, couldn't jump, couldn't do all kinds of stuff, and it was affecting sort of my performances. I was out of the team by December, so again, I'll just have to play through it and whatever. Went to Burnley because of the nature of the injury. I think I tore my stomach muscle, so that was what was holding everything together. It sounds horrific, but
it does.
Then obviously, everything just fell apart, and then I went in, had the double hernia operation, and then the situation was resolved, but probably 4 or 5 months later than what it should have been, really. So
yeah. And obviously, but how was your time at Coventry when you got back from the loan spells? Obviously, you scored quite a few goals at Coventry. How was your time with the Coventry?
Yeah, fantastic. Obviously, when you're playing and you're not doing too well, so that first 5-6 months wasn't great.
No, of course.
And I just couldn't work out why until obviously I went on loan and found out exactly what the problem was. But when I came back, it was a little bit with trepidation because, it's almost a new start. New manager was there. We had pre-season. He chose to sort of use other players and stuff. But as I was getting fitter and coming back properly, re-established myself again in the first team. And to be honest, I really had a fantastic time. The final 3 years of my 3.5 years of my stint there. Some great people and had a great with a team that was tipped to get relegated every year because of the financial situation. It was in the team spirit and the group of guys that were there and kept them out of trouble. And actually, were hovering to the end of the table at some point.
Fair enough. And then obviously after Coventry, you went to another club, Bristol City, in January 2008. And obviously, obviously not the first half of your spell there, but the full season you had there, you won Player of the Season. What was that like, receiving that award from the club?
Amazing. It really was, I talk about it all the time because I look back at my career and I've got no regrets. I've enjoyed every club I've been at. I've met fantastic people, and Bristol was another breath of fresh air. Coventry again had another change in manager. Again, it was sort of a situation where I think there must have been about 8 or 9 strikers, and then the manager obviously wanted his own players in there. And it was the right time to move, but again, you're thinking, what's going to happen? Is it going to go well? Bristol, they just took to me. I got on really well with the fans, got on with the players, scored my share of goals, especially being the target man and sort of other people playing off me. I got my fair share of goals and really felt as if I contributed to where they were in the table. In the second season, the half season when we got almost promoted, and then the second season I played a really big part, and it was really good that they recognised that they were giving me play of the season, really. So
of course. And then you moved to our club, Nottingham Forest, where it's fair to say you played for probably the last good team at Forest. Sadly missed out on the playoffs in the semi-finals to Blackpool. How was your time at the club?
Again, you know what I say? In a different way. I came in a different role, and I think my time at Forest at that time was more a mentor and one of the older players, and was supporting the younger ones because what a fantastic group of lads at that time. The Wes Morgan, Lewis McGugan, Chambers, Cohen. You could go on. Guy Moosey, fantastic, but all young guys who had been kept together and were growing into what they did in the end. And then with the additions of Dexter Blackstock and Robert Earnshaw, it was crazy. But my experience coming in again, another team where I think Billy just wanted lots of strikers, packed out the team. Tyson, McGoldrick. There was another 8 or 9. So
yeah, there was a lot of you in that squad.
Yeah, no, there was. And when you've got Earnshaw, I think he finished with 17 goals or something in one of the seasons, and then Blackstock was up there in the goals. My role was more, I suppose, coming on late and supporting, if we were behind, or like I always seem to create chances in the games and stuff. I was a bit disappointed with my return in goals, but I definitely felt I contributed to the squad as well. Was there.
Yeah, and how do you how do you take that loss in the semi-finals with team overall? Was it such a disappointing time at the club when you obviously Blackpool knocked you out?
Oh, it was like we backed ourselves the whole season. It was really a fantastic spirit, and I think that was taken from the year before. Billy had saved them from relegation, right at the bottom end of the table, and literally told us, "You're too good to be there. You're gonna be up at the top, and you're gonna win this league." And we come pretty close, and I think the feeling in the camp was like we were a better side than Blackpool. Blackpool were on a fantastic run and had a lot of momentum, so they'd hit their top form at the exact right time, and fair play to them. They've gone on and proved how good a side they were in the Premier League. But
yeah, of course.
Yeah, we did all we could at the time, but it was massively disappointing when you look back on it. But to put it in perspective, to go from where we came from to where we were was amazing.
Yeah, it was a great achievement for the club.
Yeah, agreed. And then you moved to Hull, where it's fair to say it wasn't an ideal maybe move for you, because obviously you only played 10 times for a club and you're also loaned to Notts County. How was that year mentally for you?
Oh, horrendous.
Yeah.
Hull, fantastic, another great club. Like I said, I've got no regrets about going anywhere.
Of course,
when I first went down there, Nigel Pearson signed me and stuff, and he was fantastic. I didn't start the season, but he was working me into the squad, and by I think October or so, I was starting to play more and start some games, and it looked as if he had a bigger role for me within that squad, which again, we're looking to get promoted. But because he did so well, I think Leicester came in for him, and he went just overnight in football. These things happen. He signed for Leicester, went down there, and Nick Barmby took over. Now I think Nick had different plans, but again, it's football. I'm saying this as in he didn't need or want a target man. So I found myself sort of like no use. There was really no use for me and stuff. I was a long way from home because I still had lived in Birmingham, and I was travelling down there 3 hours a day. I had a flat, so I'd be there playing computer games, training, and then going on playing computer games, and it wasn't a great experience. And then even around Christmas time, when I'm sort of saying, listen, can I go on loan somewhere? And like the answer was no, you can't. Like, we've only got a smallish squad. We need you here just in case something happens. And that thing where I've said, I'm desperate to get away, like was kicking in, sort of, just let me go somewhere and play some games. And they wouldn't let me do it again. But, it wasn't beneficial to the club. So again, I understand that. I'm not complaining about it. But in terms of, for me personally, it didn't work well for me.
Of course, no. And then obviously you went to Notts County, played a few times. What was it like in County? Obviously the other side of a trend. What was that like?
Yeah, again, and that injury thing. I think I've gone down there and tried to think what injury. I think it was my medial meniscus. Like I just tore a chunk off it. The ground. I've gone to Notts County. It was coming into summertime. The ground was really hard at the training ground, and I'm not sure if I've planted my foot and slipped. And after I come onto one game, and then I got injured in training, and they sort of said, well, you're on loan now. It's bad, but you can sort of manage it to the end of the season. And in my head, I thought, I can't go back to Hull and just sit there and not do anything.
Yeah, it's not how you work.
No. So I just took injections every game, just patched it up as much as I could, and he just used me to sort of play. And I think at times I was literally limping around the pitch. I couldn't move, but he wanted a target man. And to be honest, as a foil for some of the other players, it worked. So like again, Keith Curl, you know, it was another good experience. But again, I get disappointment in terms of I wish I could have contributed more when I've gone there. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. And then and then you moved to Rochdale, and again it was another case of first manager wanted target man, I wanted to use you. Second manager came in, wanted a different style, and obviously you went on loan to, I believe, Wrexham, was it?
Yeah. So that's sort of right. So I've gone down there, and like again, I think I wasn't sure at the beginning of that season after Hull. I was just going to retire. I wasn't going to sort of play again.
Yeah.
And Coleman sort of said to me, "Listen, you're just going to you'll train a couple of days a week and just come down, and it's going to be really relaxed, and we'll take care of you. So nothing to worry about." And so I thought, okay, you know what? I'll go and help them out. I'll go down there, and I did. And after a short while, it turned out to something different. He wanted me down. Rochdale from Birmingham again is another 2-3 hour drive.
Yeah,
every morning. Yeah, you need to come in every day like everyone else. So I'm driving down there, and like I think just before Christmas, it was getting too much to me. I just wanted to retire. Yeah. So I was saying, let me find somewhere close to home. I just want to see out the season. And like he didn't want that, so he just kept holding me. And then come to Christmas, just after Christmas, he got the sack. The new manager come in, and the new manager was like, well, said, yeah, okay, you can do that. So I think I was going to go to Burton Albion, but no, sorry, not Burton Albion, to, you know what, another club which was local to Birmingham.
Yeah.
But Andy Morrell, I used to play with at Coventry City, who was the manager at Wrexham, gave me a ring and said, it's still a little bit of a distance, but can you come and help us out to the end of the season? So I thought, okay, if this is going to be my last club, my last bit of football, instead of like just seeing out, let me see if I can go and help their sort of bid. Well, you know, for these last, I think it was 2 months or so.
Yeah.
So I did that, just sort of travelled up there and joined their sort of squad.
Fair enough. And obviously, like you said, you played for many clubs over your career, obviously many clubs. And obviously had some successful times at quite a few of these clubs. What moment or club stands out for you the most in your career?
Oh, every experience was different, and like I've enjoyed all of them. Nottingham had a great time in terms of like the lads I was around and stuff.
Yeah.
On the playing side, my first big move to Birmingham City was great. All the other clubs were different experiences, but I'd have to say, Crewe, my first experience of football. You know, it was what really was like a hotbed of talent. I mean, like Danny Murphy, Seth Johnson, Neil Lennon, if anyone remembers. I don't know if you remember. You know, playing with those kind of guys, Craig Higgin, you could keep going. There's probably some massive players that I've not even mentioned there, but being around there at the time and seeing young, hungry players the way it was, like it was a fantastic place to learn your game. And even sort of on the managerial front, you've got the likes of Kenny Swain, who went over to England, and Steve Holland, who sort of Chelsea and England as well. And obviously Dario Gordi, who was respected throughout the game. Amongst the coaching staff, there was really a lot of not just coaching staff, but players, and all pulling in the same direction. It's a really great club to start your career. No regrets, because I know you mentioned I started at Liverpool. No regrets at making that decision to go there instead of taking up a YTS or a pro at my hometown club.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how hard was that for you to turn down your home, yeah, your team sport? How hard was that to turn that down to go to Crew?
Um, it wasn't. It felt like a dream. You know, it felt too big. And if that's your mindset, then you shouldn't be doing it because
Yeah,
you don't want to go there and make up the numbers. Like I haven't watched those players, and I didn't really have the belief that I could get into that first team squad. And
yeah,
so not just looking at the first team players. I've mentioned this a few times. There was players my age group like Robbie Fowler,
yeah,
who even as a young kid was was ridiculous. So I used to play with him, Liverpool schoolboys and stuff, and he'd score hat tricks every game, 3, 4, 5 goals a game. Knowing you've got that level of competition to go into Liverpool, it doesn't matter if they give me a 5-year professional contract. I don't think I could have gone there and had any realistic sort of thought that, oh, you're going to play in the first team ahead of that kind of talent and stuff.
of course, yeah.
So worked my way up. Crew started in the bottom division with them and made me debut. Dario Brody told me I was going to make me debut when I was 16, 17 years old. And I did true to his word, played and again, just carried on playing right through. So
That's fair enough. Like, I can imagine, I'm going to say we're not professional footballers, but for us to turn down Forest, it'd be hard. Do you know what I mean? But I respect what your reasons behind that. Obviously, like you said, you've had plenty of managers over time. Is there a few managers that you can probably name that had the biggest impact on you as a player, or maybe out of football?
Yeah, there's plenty of guys you could, and I've got on with most of them. Like Dario probably had the single biggest influence on my career. I mean, when you're talking about managers, a lot of managers with the size of the squads they've got haven't got time to sort of go and take individual sessions on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But I remember Dario, with me being 15, 16 years old, would write individual session, and he'd do that with all the players, shooting, passing. He used to take the youth teams to games, so we'd take the first team games on a Saturday, and then he'd go and take different age groups on a Sunday. The guy was just football through and through,
Yeah.
and that sort of work ethic he instilled in all of us. That's still present now. I can't stop still. So he's probably the biggest. But there was guys like Colin Todd. I know you mentioned earlier went on loan loads of times. Went on loan to Bradford after my spell at Coventry. Probably felt as low as I could coming back from a long-term injury, not going the way the move didn't go the way I wanted it to, and he just made me feel like $1 million. He was putting his arm around me. I remember what you were like before your injury. No, you can play like that again. I'm going to put you up front with Dean Windass. I don't know if you remember. And we clicked. Dean scored all the goals, but again, I contributed. And we went from sort of bottom off the table to, I think we were top before Coventry recalled me back to the recall and stuff. So that experience really gave me the confidence again after my injury to sort of kick on again.
Yeah, I was going to say, as a player yourself, like obviously you suffered a lot of injuries. How does a player mentally, like yourself, how did you keep bouncing back from injuries? Was it just that case of I want to keep playing my football?
Yeah, football's the driving force for anything. You talk to any player, probably the stories are the same. Like I'd get a ball, I'd leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you wouldn't see me till after 10. And then I'd go and repeat the exact same thing the next day. That has always been it, just playing. And even now, like even though I can't sort of train every day or play games as much as I do, I still try and keep as active as I can. Anytime someone says, "Oh, there's a charity match," I'm there, just up and down the country or over 30 miles. Like anything to do with football, like I'm crazy. I'm just a football nut.
Fair enough, I like that. Obviously, you played with so many good players over your time. Who was probably one of the best players you played with? If you can name, obviously, you've played with so many, so it's probably a hard question, but
It is a really hard question.
or maybe your favourite or your best striker partnership with you. I don't know. Maybe you worked with someone.
As a kid, I mentioned Robbie Fowler, and ability level, like he was far and away probably the best player I played with. But if you're talking at a professional club, Stern John was great. I remember Robbie Earnshaw was a fantastic goal scorer.
Yeah, it was.
I played Nicky Maynard at Bristol City, went on, and Andrew Johnson. Like strikers wise, there's so many who've actually gone and become internationals as well. Gone and played for England. So it'd be really. Well, I'll just say that's the easiest way to sort of.
Fair enough. Can you remember any player you played against that was like on a different level, like an opponent you was like when you played him was like, wow, this guy is too good?
I remember a battle against Titus Bramble when he was at Ipswich, funnily enough, and he was just too powerful. Like you'd get the ball, and he'd just run over the top of you. Like he was ridiculous. He had other shortcomings and stuff which hampered his career, but in terms of pace and power, he was the strongest. But I remember playing against a young Rio Ferdinand, and when I say his reading of the game was ridiculous, so big, lanky, rangy player, and I thought, okay, I'm going to bully him. And he would literally just run around you, nick it in front of you. He would time his jumps. He'd nudge you when he needed to in terms of trying to get, like, it was a horrible game. But I think because of his age, his concentration went like towards the end of the game. I managed to score 2 goals, I think, in the last 2 minutes. So honestly, it happened like that. And it was the worst game probably I've ever played against anyone. So I'd have to say that was a real lesson in terms of I think I was about 18, 19 at the time, and he probably was slightly younger, 17, 18. But an amazing game.
Fair enough. And obviously now after football, you're involved with a thing called Strike 9 Training. Am I right in saying?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain a little bit of what that is and what they offer for obviously youngsters?
Strike 9 Training is just about youth engagement. I was brought up in Liverpool, an area called Toxteth, and my opportunities to play were limited, really. I didn't have that infrastructure. I'd like I said, I'd rock up on the 3G pitch, but it wasn't 3G, it was 1G. I think it was 1G at that time. And just ask anyone, can I have a game of football? There was local sports centres where you'd go and join, and there'd be about 50 people waiting to play 5-a-side in just this one hall. And I suppose it's my way of giving something back, like a set up sort of football camps and football sort of training sessions, and that's what Strike 9 Training is about. And what I've gone and done is to further advance that, and I've become a director of a company called E-Bike Brum. So that's sort of taken all the stuff that wasn't available to me back when I was playing, which I think is fantastic now. If you look at how you can sort of monitor the output of players on bikes, the wattage, the cadence, all that kind of stuff, you can really fine tune the explosive power or the stamina. But the equipment's really expensive. So with the idea of E-Bikes Brum is bringing that top level of sort of equipment and being able to sort of utilize it for youth sport as well. So that's in development now. We've got, I think we've got a ton of bikes, and probably 12 bikes, expensive bikes. But because of the lockdown, we haven't been able to use it. So we sort of donated that to the NHS at the moment. But when we get it back, we can start sort of engaging some of the grassroots clubs, or even some professional clubs, with some of this stuff.
That's brilliant, mate. Obviously, also, you also do a lot of work for Blues TV, obviously, with your former club, Birmingham City. What's it like going on that? And obviously, you were with Dale. We obviously know Dale. What's that like?
You know what? It's great. I really enjoy doing it now. I didn't at first. I'm quite a softly spoken. I keep myself to myself. I've got a social media presence, but I force myself to sort of use it. I am really sort of what's the word I'm not. What I was going to say withdrawn, but like I don't really sort of shout out about what I'm doing to people. So to do the radio and for WM and all the other stations I've done was a massive thing for me. So I think the early days when I was doing it, it was horrible. I'd be sweating all the way through, worrying about what you're sort of saying. But I think in terms of bringing that sort of confidence out to do it and that side of me out, it's been amazing. And like now, I feel comfortable sort of even doing something like this, just a video chat. I'd probably fall to pieces. You know, there's a confidence, there's a learned confidence that you get from doing it. And when you've only ever played football and
of course,
Blues TV, every home game I'm there on the TV, on the radio, talking, and it's been great for me.
Brilliant. Has that been like your a lot of players after the game, like you said, they miss that competitiveness, or is that your way of still like being still part of the like get match the atmosphere? Do you know what I mean? Like still being part of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I'd still go to games, but nowhere near as frequently as what I did. And you like for players, you know, you think people move on, but I still go out now. Like I didn't play for Birmingham City for, I think it must be gone on 18, 20 years. And people still recognise me. And that's probably because like that's what fans are like, you know, they don't forget the players who've been at the club. And they want to show their appreciation and stuff. And I think a lot of players who turn their back on the game miss all of that, really. So, it's...
Funny for you mentioned that, because like, when we did a bit of research on you, it feels like I would class you, like Birmingham City fans absolutely adore you, like online. And obviously, I guess your relationship with the fans are really good then, with Birmingham City.
Yeah, I say that, but like my relationship with all the fans, probably from every club I've been at, like seems to be quite well. Like I'm not blowing smoke. I'm quite a humble guy. I'm down to earth. The biggest thing that is said about me is that I don't act like a professional footballer. I don't know what a professional footballer is supposed to act like, or what our next professional footballer. But I think you know I make sure that my relationship with the fans always stays strong and do what I can to sort of to engage with them when I see people out and stuff. So
fair enough.
Brilliant.
Last question. If you could give any youngster advice who's just about to go into a professional game, what would be your advice to them?
I think previously it would have been about your work rate, but you've got to work hard. You've got to work at the same level. Every player going into it, there's a level of sort of effort that you've got to retain. Otherwise, forget. It doesn't matter how much ability you've got. You've got to be there in your head, but also you've got to find a way to be different as well. So don't lose that individuality and get your head down and sprint around all over the place. You've got to not just play the game, you've got to think the game. And that is just training that ability to play the game properly by thinking about it is just as important as the physical side of it. So just not to ignore that aspect of it. Don't rely on your physicality. Don't rely on your just your ability. You've got to put it all together, and the game is just so much more in tune to that nowadays. You find it a way of piecing all that together. Like you'll do well. Sorry, maybe too much advice.
No, that's perfect, mate.
Not at all.
Well, I just want to say thank you again for coming on the podcast. Like, it's been a fantastic, honestly, some great stories there. So thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Thanks, Dylan.
No worries, mate. So, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. I'll also put all his social media in the description. But thanks for watching, guys.